Self-control is not a fixed trait you are born with. It is a dynamic skill, one that can be developed and strengthened over time through deliberate practice. Like any muscle, the more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. This capacity for self-regulation is fundamental to achieving long-term goals, navigating social interactions, and maintaining well-being. It operates on a principle similar to cognitive resource management. Every day, we have a finite amount of mental energy for making decisions and resisting impulses. When this resource is depleted, we experience what is known as ego depletion, making it harder to exert self-control in subsequent tasks. Understanding this helps explain why it is more difficult to resist a late-night snack after a day filled with demanding decisions. The brain's prefrontal cortex is the command center for this area, responsible for executive functions like planning, decision-making, and moderating social behavior, is what allows us to override our immediate desires in favor of a more beneficial future outcome. When you choose to study for an exam instead of watching a movie, it is your prefrontal cortex at work, weighing the long-term benefit of a good grade against the short-term pleasure of entertainment. Neuroscientific studies showed that individuals with greater self-control exhibit more activity in this brain region when faced with temptation. This neurological basis confirms that self-control is a function of brain activity, which can be altered and improved. Techniques like mindfulness and meditation have been shown to increase gray matter density in the prefrontal cortex, effectively enhancing the brain's hardware for one of the foundational models for understanding self-control as a skill is the strength model. This theory posits that self-control, or willpower, functions like a muscle. It can be fatigued by overuse in the short term, but it can also be strengthened through regular exercise over the long term. For instance, consistently choosing to wake up early to exercise, even when you feel tired, gradually builds your overall capacity for this strengthening effect is not limited to one area of life. Developing discipline in your fitness routine can spill over, making it easier to manage your finances or focus on a difficult project at work. The key is consistency. Small, regular acts of self-discipline are more effective for long-term growth than occasional, heroic efforts. This approach makes the process manageable and helps avoid the burnout that comes from demanding too much of your willpower at once. Effective self-control also involves strategic management of your environment. It's not just about raw willpower, it's about being smart. The most disciplined people are often those who structure their lives to minimize the need for constants. If you want to eat healthier, it is more effective to remove junk food from your home than to rely on sheer willpower to resist it every time you open the pantry. This concept, known as choice architecture, involves designing your environment to make good choices easier and bad choices harder. By reducing exposure to temptation, you can serve your limited willpower for situations where it's truly needed. This proactive approach is a hallmark of someone who has mastered self-control as a skill. They don't just fight battles, they strategically avoid them altogether, setting themselves up for success by default. Another critical component of developing self-control is goal setting and monitoring. Vague aspirations like, "I want to be more productive," are difficult to act on. A skilled approach involves setting specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound or SMART goals. For example, instead of a general desire to be more productive, You might set a goal to complete a specific work report by Friday afternoon, breaking it down into smaller daily tasks. This clarity provides a clear roadmap and makes it easier to direct your effort. Monitoring your progress is equally important. Tracking your behavior, whether it's your daily study hours or your weekly spending, provides valuable feedback. It helps you see where you're succeeding and where you need to adjust your strategy. This feedback loop of setting goals, acting on them, and reviewing your progress is fundamental to skill development in any domain, including the ability to delay gratification is at the heart of self. It is the capacity to forego an immediate, smaller reward for a larger, more significant one in the future. Classic psychological experiments demonstrated that children who could resist eating a marshmallow for a short period to earn a second one later tended to have better life outcomes years later, including higher test scores and better social skills. This isn't about innate ability, but a learned strategy. People who are good at delaying gratification often use mental techniques to manage their desires. They might distract themselves, or they might reframe the situation by focusing on the negative aspects of the immediate reward or the positive aspects of the future reward. For instance, someone saving for a house might visualize the joy of homeownership to diminish the appeal of an impulse purchase. Learning and practicing these mental strategies is a practical way to build the skill of delayed gratification. Developing self-control also requires managing emotional responses. Impulsive actions are often driven by intense emotions like stress, anger, or boredom. Learning to recognize these emotional triggers and developing healthy coping mechanisms is a key skill. Instead of reacting impulsively to stress by overeating or procrastinating, one can learn to respond by taking a short walk, practicing deep breathing exercises, or talking to a friend. This involves emotional regulation, which is the ability to influence which emotions you have when you have them, and how you experience and express them. Mindfulness practices are particularly effective here, as they teach you to observe your emotions without being controlled by them. By creating a space between an emotional impulse and a behavioral response, you give your rational mind a chance to intervene and make a more considered choice. This emotional mastery is a sophisticated form of self. Furthermore, physical health plays a surprisingly large role in our capacity for adequate sleep, a balanced diet, and regular exercise are not just good for the body. They are essential for the brain. Sleep deprivation, for example, significantly impairs the functioning of the prefrontal cortex, making it much harder to resist impulses and make sound decisions. Similarly, blood sugar fluctuations from a poor diet can lead to irritability and a reduced capacity for exercise. On the other hand, has been shown to boost executive functions and improve mood, both of which support self-regulation. Treating self-control as a skill means taking a holistic approach. It requires recognizing that your mental strengths is deeply connected to your physical state. Prioritizing your health is one of the most effective strategies for enhancing your ability to manage your actions and achieve your goals. Finally, self-compassion is a crucial, often overlooked element of building self-control. The process of developing this skill is not linear. There will be setbacks. A common reaction to a lapse in self-control, like breaking a diet or skipping a workout, is, however, research shows that this approach is often counterproductive. Harsh self-judgment can lead to feelings of shame and hopelessness, which in turn can trigger a cycle of further indulgence as a way to cope with those negative feelings. Self-compassion, in contrast, involves treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a friend. It means acknowledging the mistake without judgment, understanding that setbacks are part of the learning process, and gently guiding yourself back on track. This supportive inner dialogue fosters resilience and motivation, making it easier to persist in your efforts. Mastering self-control is not about achieving perfection, but about learning to navigate imperfections with grace and continuing to move forward.